Alright, so here we are. I just did the transplant today. I'm sure some people probably think it was a little late on the transplant. It probably was. They were slightly root bound. I honestly like them a little bit more root bound just because, you know, there's actually kind of like a nice structure to like place into the next pot, but you know, whatever. You can pretty much grow an entire plant in a Dixie cup if you really wanted to. Could transplant them earlier, could transplant them later. It is really just up to the grower at that point. Oops, forgot to trim. I was gonna trim these little babies off of here too. Forgot to do that. But anyways, yeah, the whole using my reptile heat mat as a vegetable heat mat or a, you know, plant heat mat only kind of sort of works. Even with the installation, I think it was still getting a little bit too hot at the root zone because it kind of looked like the roots were, dare I say, burned at the bottom. So I think these might have been somewhat struggling, even though they look like they're doing pretty good. They should be fine now. We're no longer using the heat mat. We're just going to be using the heater in here to kind of keep them warm. We've actually been keeping it pretty warm in here. I turned up the heater yesterday to kind of get them used to not being on a heat mat. So I'm going to keep them on this sort of higher temperature now, which is like apparently a high of like 79. Which is like a little bit on the warm side, but again, I've taken them off the heat mat now, so they're gonna have to slowly get used to not being super duper warm all the time. And I'm gonna slowly turn that down, get them back to the kind of like 70, 75 range here. And we are going into springtime too, so temps outside are gonna get a little warmer. It's gonna get a little bit more humid. I shouldn't need the humidifier as much anymore as these things get a little bit bigger, transpire a little bit more, and of course it gets a little bit more humid in the environment too. So hopefully all that should be kind of working out. Honestly, I could probably have these things bunched up closer together. Might as well keep them as focused in the center of the light as I can. Doing pretty good. Maybe like some slight hiccups with like the roots getting a little bit too hot there. This one actually was super duper noodly. As soon as I took it out of the pot, the whole thing started like falling over like in its little like dirt pile because it just like it wasn't being held up by very much. It was pretty much only being held up by the dirt around the stem. There wasn't quite enough of a root ball to really hold it up as a structure yet. So a little bit concerning, but again, they should have plenty of room to kind of grow out, you know, hopefully grow correctly without being super blasted by heat from below. Because I think potentially the roots were somewhere up in the 80 degrees. It was definitely a little bit too hot for the roots. And I was letting those things kind of dry out more than I should have, I think. So yeah, been giving them some veg nutrients, been doing the whole big bloom and grow big together. Last feeding I gave them a little bit of CalMag too to spice things up a little bit. But now that they're in these pots, I'm gonna start giving them like the actual dosages based on like the per gallon whatever, because I was just kind of giving them like a little bit of a dose. But yeah, things are looking pretty good. We got some pretty good looking plants here. This one has recovered a bit from its faded color. Could probably use a little bit more nutrients, but I'm going to be watering a little bit here today, so they should get a little bit here. This one's still looking a little mutato, but I'm going to let it grow out a little bit and see if it evens out enough to top it correctly. We'll see what the hell happens with that one. That one might end up being a weird one, but they are all wedding cake from a pretty decent pheno that I grew previously, so theoretically these should all be pretty damn good stuff, you know what I mean? Assuming they're females, obviously. Just wanted to get a quick short little video here before I do the topping, because I'm about to do some topping on these bad girls. But yeah, I'm gonna be doing it in a way that sort of evens out the height as well. As you can see, this one here in the middle is quite tall. Even this one here is quite tall. So this one is probably getting topped down to this node here. This one's probably getting topped down to this node here. And then the other ones, I will kind of just top them wherever looks about best for height. But anyways, I guess we will just see how they react to it. All right, so there we go. The deed is done. Definitely no turning back now. And light, probably keep it where it is right now. We got about maybe 1.5 feet. I could probably check the photon app. I think it should be around like 250 lumens. I don't know how good that is for veg or not, but it's not too high, it's not too low. But yeah, here we go. Plants are all topped. We're about halfway through week 6, 7. So week 7 on the middle plant, week 6 on everything else. Obviously we topped them last week, and this is the first update since the topping or whatever. Some of them are doing a little bit better than others. This one's doing a lot better. This one's doing pretty all right. The rest of them are slowly chugging along. They, for some reason, want to get more growth down here than up here, but they are slowly working on, I don't even know if I got that in the frame yet. Here we go. They are slowly working on it though, popping those growths out of the new tops. But anyways, that deed is done. I just gave them a watering today. That's the first watering I've given them in a while. It's been mostly feedings. I'm trying to go a little bit heavier on the feeding this time around. I'm also trying to go a little bit heavier on the lighting. I'm running it on max already, and it's about 18 inches from the top of the canopy. I haven't tested the PPFD yet actually, but where it was before was about 12 inches from the canopy at 80%, and I was still only pulling, I think, about 250 to 300 ppfd at like the top of the canopy, which is like, I think technically all right for veg, but it could definitely handle a little bit more. Yeah, just overall, I want to try giving the things a little bit more light and a little bit more nutrients to see how that affects the grow. Because usually I go on the lighter side as far as nutrients are concerned, but yeah, no, obviously, if we're going to be trying hard, we might as well be trying as hard as we can. So I'm up in the nutrients. I'm more or less just following like the actual schedule that they have on the that Fox Farm little pamphlet that they give you, which seems to pretty much suggest that you give them nutrients every single day and only occasionally flush with water, whereas previously I would give them a feeding and then a watering, a feeding and then a watering, and I just stagger back and forth between feedings and waterings. This time around I'm doing about like 4 weeks of feeding and then a week of watering. That's about the schedule that I've settled into so far, and I think I'm gonna keep that up for as long as I can remember to, I guess. Basically giving it, and not even giving it like the half doses, like the people are like, oh, just give it like half as many nutrients, like half as much as you think. I'm gonna try just giving them like the actual, just straight up standard dose the whole time, every week basically, except for like, you know, that 4th or 5th week or whatever, give them a quick little flush until I start to see any like major problems or anything, because I don't think I've ever really achieved nutrient burn. I want to see what giving them a lot more nutrients does, just so I have like a little bit of experience in that direction, and then maybe I can try to dial it back from there, try to settle into like the perfect amount. But I usually do half doses of nutrients. Now I'm going to try doing like a full standard dose, and who knows, maybe that's not even like technically enough nutrients for what I'm doing. Who knows? Hopefully once these things recover from being chopped, they should start growing out quite vigorously at this point with the amount of nutrients and light they have. Anyways though, not a whole lot to it, just wanted to do a quick little update. So yeah, that is the plants right now, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.